Awesome.
Great, we're live. Hi,
Yes.
Christian.
Hey, Anna. How's it going?
We're gonna just tell everyone it's going to be in English. I hope you have understood this already. Before we will let everyone join who has signed up, but can't you just share where you are today? So where are you watching this webinar from? So I'm in Åre, northern Sweden. I have my skier behind me here. So here we have Arvika. Oh, yes, you write Reykjavik, of course. So that's where you are today, Christian. Yes. Gothenburg, Västerås.
Oh, this is great.
Wow.
All around.
All from Sweden except for you then, Christian, I think.
Oh, yeah. Cardiff there.
Cardiff. Oh, Nicola. Hi, Nicola. And one more from Åre. Yes, love that. Oh. And yes, even more. Wow.
This is great. And please be active in the comments, guys, because we're going to be looking at what you're saying. We're going to, we're building in public, showing stuff in public. So whatever you want to see and talk about, we're going to dive into some of those things that you share with us and things that you're expecting from the webinar.
Yes. So let's see, how many do we have? Should we kick it off? What do you think? Should we wait one more minute?
I think we can kick it off. I mean, people will just pop in. I think it's fine. I'm super excited about this chat, Anna. There's a lot happening in this world today, and I think people are hungry for real examples.
True. But let's start kicking off with who are we and why are we here? And so I'm Anna Carlsson. I have my own business, HR Digi, and I'm truly passionate about how to make sure we utilize AI, data, and technology in the absolute best way. So I'm moderating this today together with you, Christian. Should you introduce yourself?
Yep. So I'm Christian. I'm co-founder and CEO at a company called 50 Skills. So we're basically helping people to map up their processes, add people to them, and automate their practices using AI where it belongs. So that's going to be our focus for today, sharing some examples on that.
Yeah. And I wanted to kick off just mentioning a few facts about Sweden. So it's a frustrating situation because we have such a digital community. I mean, we have all these unicorns like Spotify, Klarna, Lovable that are all built on our foundation of technology and digital competence and knowledge. And the same in if you rate, or when people have self-rated themselves in digital competence, the HR professionals rate themselves at 60%. So we do have a lot of knowledge. But what I see is when we utilize AI, we use it with Copilot, ChatGPT, and similar tools, and are not kind of crossing that threshold of utilizing it for improving the real work we are doing. Even in tech companies, I see that we are struggling to move from that, doing something for myself, for what I write and do every day, but not really impacting our work and our people in our organizations for the benefit of the organization. So, and at the same time, we also see that this is the highest priority, one of the highest priorities for HR organization 2026. So it's an interesting crossroad now when you want to move forward but don't really know how. So I'm hoping we can share that today. And just to kick off, this webinar is not, as you mentioned, Christian, it's not going to be about sharing any slides or anything. It's going to be based on your input, and therefore you need to use both the chat. You can also use the Q&A if you want to be anonymous, and I will monitor that. But we will start the discussion by sharing a few questions that you can answer, so we know a bit more about you and your expectations. So should we start the first question?
That sounds good.
So as you see here, what percentage of your HR team's time is currently spent on repetitive admin tasks?
It's basically all going in the middle, it looks like, Anna. It's like
Yeah,
it's on the between the 25 to 75% there, it seems.
I'm happy that there are not more than 75%. I think those who are answering that has some journey to go with also other stuff than just AI automation and AI workflow automation.
But this is super interesting to see, and this is not uncommon. And to be honest, like I think it is changing for those who have sort of taken the steps to do changes. I think they're sort of moving towards that less than 25%. But I mean, people are loaded with work. I also think, I mean, AI is also causing them to have more work. Like, for example, if you're kind of in the TA space, like people, everyone is now using AI to write job descriptions and applying for jobs and with automation. And so it's just more things happening, and you need to be productive and just to keep up, basically.
True. Okay, so should we go ahead with the second question then?
Yeah, sounds good. Let's check it out.
So how would you describe your team's current use of AI or automation in HR?
Definitely most people are sort of exploring, which is definitely what I'm seeing as well. Anna, as the most common one. People are trying out different tools. They're playing with it. They're signing up for free trials. They're putting in questions, but like actively using this to automate things and feeling like they're, you know, world class in using tools. Here it's in the 3%, and it's not very. It's actually usually I even see it lower when people are entering these things. So I mean,
Yeah.
3%. Yeah.
And I think it's interesting because a lot of the push has been on that we should use generative AI to create our own solutions. And when I discuss this with organization, the fact is that you can't really trust yourself building the tools, because then you're out on the deep water if you're not a tech company. And that you can see that tech companies have been progressing faster than others. But if you're not, I mean, very used to building stuff, how do you make sure that this is really safe and secure? So people hesitate, of course, and they don't know what kind of solutions they could utilize. They're looking at the different HR system vendors and others to come with these solutions.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's going to grow the capabilities of people building, because the tools that are now available are just so much easier and easier. But even if you could build it, like let's take an example. Let's say you and I were at a company of like 300 people, 500 people. We wanted to automate our processes, and you would just start to vibe code different solutions for every single thing. And you'd end up maybe with like one for onboarding and one for offboarding and one for like different things. And I'd do the same. And then we'd have hundreds of people going through these processes. And then we'd need to add other people with access. And then maybe you or I would leave the company and others would need to join. And just the governance part, like, can we somehow in a unified way connect all of these together and see it and see where it's going? And I think that's often when it becomes tricky. Like, I've personally vibe coded hundreds of apps, hundreds, and I can do one in 3 minutes. But like, there's a difference between vibe coding like a landing page based on a prompt and actually using it for like core business processes that you trust in, that integrates with all of your tools, that has sensitive data, that, you know, and the governance part of that is really important. So yeah, I don't even see moving forward in 2 years or 3 years that people will just, you know, build me an onboarding process for all of my pilots and now onboard them and just like trust it completely without having kind of done the sanity checks and steps.
And we have a good comment here as well from me. My take is that HR many times are so busy with the repetitive admin work that they do not have time to grow their AI capability to be able to automate the work. Yeah. And that is so true. How do you want to change something? And for that, you need to take a step back. Even if you go into a tool like yours, you have to take a step back and really invest your time in it. But it's a lot harder to do it with something that you have to create and build yourself versus if there is a guided way of doing things.
Yeah. But on that note that is being mentioned here from I mean, the reality is that the only way to make the thing work smoother is to put wheels under the wagon. It's to take time, one process at a time, really think about how it is today, how you want to do it, build it in whatever tool you use or tools, and like rethink how you're going to do it, implement that, and make it run. And it does take time. It is hard to find it, but it is literally the only way of doing it. So I guess when people do commit the time, it's smart to maybe pick something that you trust, that you think will work, so it's not a complete waste of time. But I also think that like the world is changing so fast, and we need to just accept the fact that exploration and continuous learning is part of everyone's work now. And so taking time to explore tools and products, taking time to do things new in a new way in the AI, because stuff you tried a year ago didn't work then, it might actually work now. The same thing, the exact same thing you tried.
And I was at the conference yesterday in Norway, and Telenor were presenting, and they talked about that they have a new slogan or activity, I would say, that everyone in the company needs to be a technologist. So they are pushing that to everyone, which is interesting, and which is something I've been talking about when I've been presenting, that we need to also own this technology change, even if we are in HR. But of course, it's that again will take time, and the investment in this needs to be there, and you have to have your support of your management as well.
Yeah, but every single worker is going to adapt to this and use it in different ways. I think every worker in companies can contribute to the systems that the companies are using. I know it sounds crazy, but it will literally be through, for example, a prompt, just asking some business process to get improved or something else. You're going to write that in a prompt. It's going to go somewhere. There's a lot of interesting talks and interviews lately from like the creators of Claude, for example, recently mentioning that everyone in their company, like literally everyone, has access to the core systems that they're building, and they're pushing updates to it. And I know that's a very technical company, but I honestly think just like all of us today are now using a computer, like we're online, we're using all these tools, like there's fundamentally new tools being replacing the old ones that are coming into play. And I mean, looking at the operations of some of the companies I've looked at, like the new way of doing ops is coming, and it's just a matter of time until other companies will move on to that stack, because it's so much more productive. It's gonna, like those types of companies are just going to be on the competitive scale moving much faster.
So we have 2 comments here. I have one in the chat. I mean, it's a higher threshold maybe to go live because of all the sensitivity and the sensitive data that HR functions handle. And we will come back to that, I believe, after we have showed some stuff. And then I also had in the Q&A that comment is that I think companies focus on tools and don't realize that if the process isn't well defined and understood, a tool will not alone solve the core issues. So you're smiling.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, you got to figure out the way you're doing things today. Does it make sense? And so I think it's also part of the process, like finding a tool to automate. Like, don't automate a broken process.
No.
That's crazy. Like, you have to figure out what's the purpose of this, what problem are we trying to solve. I mean, that's literally the methodology you need to go to for any process you're trying to solve. You're trying to figure out why are we doing this? What is the purpose? And like pretty much every organization, at least in a private setting, is trying to build something and it's trying to sell it. And then you have a bunch of other entities and functions within the company, ranging from HR to finance to admin to marketing and other that are sort of supporting these core initiatives. It's just building something, servicing it, or selling it. And so I don't know, if the process that you have doesn't make sense to begin with, like, you need to rethink it.
Yeah, I think it's time to start showing a bit instead of just talking. But to do that, we need to know what you want to see. So we're going to launch the 3rd question here, which is a word cloud, I believe. So you should mention here what HR process eats up the most of your team's time. You see that we have onboarding everywhere here.
Yeah, onboarding is pretty common. Role changes is big. Yeah. Employee grants, recruitment statistics, all sorts of things. Yeah, this is great. We can take a look at that. Should we? I mean, I'm
taking a picture of it, so I have it for if we want to come back and do more. Okay, so go ahead. So you are going to show how you can do this then in an automated way? I'm
Yeah,
just
I
going
think
to let you go ahead and start with one of these processes and share.
Yeah, exactly. If I just share my screen really quickly, I can kind of go over the things that I think people want to see here. Like I'm going to cover an onboarding process like this one and just explain what it is and how it get built and how AI is leveraged and everything. But also just related to this, like this is the stuff that our customers are literally be using our product to build the most. So it's very similar to the responses that were being posted. Like onboarding is the most common thing that people have been using our product to do. And it can be like for new hires and seasonal hires and
And I'm going to
contractors.
stop you for a second. Just mention that they can click the what do you call it, a full screen on the down at the right hand on your screen, so you can see it better. Yeah. Then you lose
Exactly.
the chat for a minute, but that
Yeah.
we have to do. Yes. Sorry.
No worries. And so basically it's like, I mean, this onboarding is the most common one. And there's like a ton of, like, I think people had something like employer requests and offboarding and paperwork and all those things. But what I also think is really interesting about what people are using this for is the bespoke processes. And that's because like every company is different. So people are just, everyone has their own like unique thing. Like aviation companies that we're working with, they have people going to airports and you can't work at an airport unless like a police officer reviews your application and background checks. And so like every company, like we've onboarded more than 100,000 people. And like, we're just noticing that every company actually does it a little bit differently, although it's kind of called the same things. Like you're kind of training people, you're setting them up for equipment and stuff. It's the way it's done is a little bit different for every company. And so if I go into what does this actually look like and how does it work? And then how does AI play a part here? Is a couple of things. Like, first of all, if you have a process like tool like this, you can map up the process itself. So in onboarding, for example, you could say, whenever somebody gets hired in my ATS system, I automatically want people to get like pushed through this process. And you could also say, I just want to manually add people by like filling out a form. You could just kind of go, oh, I already hired them. I just want to put in some details and add them, or the ATS connection, or both. And when that happens, you can kind of map up what step should happen next. In this case, it's like asking for additional information. And then when that finishes, you can have it do the next step and the next step and the next step, which is all deterministic, like create an employee contract, like fully automated, and send it to e-signing and those sorts of things. But what's really interesting here is like, how does AI play a part here? What does it do? Well, one of the things you can do with this, like, you can have what's called an AI navigator to build this type of process and to improve this process and to learn what this process is and how it does. So if I sort of show that really quickly, what you can do is that you can go in and you can just, if I just go here and click a new workflow here, just Anna example, we'll call this. And we can later on put anything in this prompt to show you how it works. So you have ideas here for all sorts of prompts. I mean, I'm sure there's an onboarding here. And just to say, Anna, what should we say here? Build me an onboarding process.
Sorry, I'm reading the comments.
Okay, no worries. Build me an onboarding process for a Swedish company. What was the location that was mostly like mentioned?
Gothenburg, I think. It was a lot of Gothenburg.
In Gothenburg and construction, or I don't know, just something. And you can be much more detailed than this or not. And this is sort of replicating what you see with tools like Claude Code and Lovable and others, where you can either plan or you can just have it build right away. And when you plan, it's basically trying to understand how this process should be and how it should work. And so it's kind of trying to think, and it's going to ask you clarifying questions like, when people are going through this process, how should they enter? Should they fill out a form? Should like HR manually add them? Should it be like a connection through an ATS? Like, you can sort of pick what you want. And like, what information are we collecting here? Like, it could be just like comprehensive, like all the details. And, you can go for the next one, which is just like, what key steps should be in the process, like welcome email or safety equipment, whatever you want. So now what we're using the AI for is basically to map up the process. So you can use the AI basically to get ideas on what to build. You can use the AI to actually build the thing. So just like, developers today, they're not really writing code. They're just telling an agent what to do to enhance a product, and then they review the code. And this is very similar, but for HR building processes. So you can just tell it here to build your onboarding process. We had a very basic prompt here. But this prompt, this could be like, Anna, you could have a dialogue with a team. You could do a transcript of the entire conversation where you're discussing how you think you want to do onboarding, all the things that you could do better, and et cetera, et cetera. And then you could it will build up a plan for you, and you start building, and it will build up a process based on that conversation. And so you don't have to, I mean, you could just go in and click the next step and add this like step by step, but you can also just have the AI build a process for you. So I think this is, I mean, we'll see this get built here in front of us, just so you know. Like, what's really important to know here is that you can leverage the AI to like get an idea of what processes you currently have. You can use it to build the process. And when it's building the process, you can also have it use AI as steps within the process. So it's multiple places you use the AI, and it can be used for all these different steps to basically improve what you have, how it gets built, etc. But these types of things, they can take maybe a minute or two. Now it's like building the form. So if I just check the form now while it's building, it's already had like this form here, like that you could, like, you're registering a new employee that's starting, like full name, email, all the details, start date, job title, department. And you can basically take this link right now, and I could send it to you, Anna, and you could fill it out, and this process would initiate. And when it starts, it does the next step below, and it's still working on those steps. But as you can see, it's sort of like this is sort of the new way of building, just like you do in Lovable or Cloud Code. You just ask it to do something, and it will sort of map it up step by step.
And I love that you mentioned you could use, for example, a transcript of, like, you can do just posting a transcript, make this process out of what we discussed, or suggest something that is even better. Or it could be that here is our current process. We understand that if we go and automate it, these are our discussions. Can you please build something? Is that, I mean, there could be multiple angles.
That's exactly how it works. And you could even have it, I mean, and here, for example, you could even have it like to improve it. So maybe there's something you don't like about it. And again, like this process that it built from this simple prompt isn't maybe like an onboarding process that's like perfect, but it might be like enough to start with. But as you noticed from the one I had before, like if you had a much deeper prompt that would explain all the different steps and branches, and it would literally build that one out. But as you can see here, from that simple prompt, it already has, like, for example, if you were to start this process now, like you'd fill out the person who's getting hired. And here, like putting in the supervisor email, you'd probably have this linked with like your HR system. Like there's all sorts of ways to improve this. But here, somebody fills this out. And the first thing that happens is like the employee now is getting, we call it the traveler, like the person going through this journey. And like the employee will get an email like, hey, like, please complete your onboarding thing. Welcome to the team. And like you already have another form here, which is like asking the employee to like fill out a bunch of things, like certifications, like all sorts of things that it's just putting up as potential questions to ask. It's sending like a welcome email to the person with first day info, everything written here. It's sort of, and I have no idea what it's going to build, but I'm just showing you. And then it's going to say like, hey, this is new employees joining, all their details and all sorts of questions. And then you can like improve this, like, I don't know, translate all of this to Swedish or something, like whatever. And you can plan it or just tell it to do it right away. And so it's very, I think it's sort of just like a step into the future, showing you like, this is how, in any product, in any field, I believe this is the way we're going to be building and updating things. Like if you're doing presentations, you're going to be talking with something like this to do your PowerPoints, or like, it's like Gamma do it. And like for your finances, like you're going to just ask it, review everything and tell me the results. And like, that's like one way to use AI. But I think it's important that you're trying to leverage tools that offer that types of capability.
And I think it's a very good way of practicing before you get into, I mean, first of all, there was a question about the tool. Of course, this is your tool. This is what you have.
This is the 50 skills tool.
Yeah. So to practice is to utilize the generative AI tools you have in your organization to do that, just that. Work with creating a presentation from a Word document or something, and make sure that you follow the process just to try it out, because then you understand a bit more how you can then start to create processes.
Yeah.
But can you explain now you've shown that it's very easy to build, about if you talk about the solution as the question came up, what makes this more secure than using Claude Code or something else, than when we talk about the sensitivity? And just reminding everyone, you can ask any question you want in the chat.
Yeah. Ask anything and encourage me to build whatever you want here, because it will, it's going to be fun to just see however that's going to be, but you can see the results on the translated here. So let's go over the security part a little bit. Let me just open up another window here so we can take a look at that. So I think for this example, let's say you have something, and this example kind of explains the reason. So let's say you're offering a gym membership or something for employees. And I'm going to show you this in the security context for a second. And people can kind of, like, they have bought a, let's just say, Fit Zone Premium, 948 euros. Imagine you're an employee. You bought a gym membership, annual gym membership. You want your employer to sponsor you back. It's something that people offer. So I now got added here to this process because I just filled out the form. And one of the things that happens here is that an AI agent is reviewing the receipt, and it's checking, basically, is the receipt for this gym membership valid? Is it like the right amount? And it's coming to a conclusion if it's valid or not valid. And in this case, it just did it live in front of us. It just did it in a couple of seconds. And it says, yeah, this is actually a real gym membership. This is valid. You should pay this person back. And it's now sending like an email to finance saying, pay this person back. And the employee right away, like a second later, can get a confirmation like, congrats, it's been approved. And so why is this different from something else or more secure? Like, what you have here is that you have paper trail on what the AI did and how it did it. So you can see exactly the prompt that went into the AI. You can see exactly how the AI validated it and the explanation. And you have that for every single individual going through every single process. And so when you're using AI, like for example, the AI Act, that's sort of been a big topic on a lot of people's discussions lately, has been around traceability. And this literally shows you that traceability, like every single person that's been around every single process and every single step where AI is used as part of the process, showing you the prompts, how the prompts are written, what information goes into the builder. For example, if I click the agent here, I can see what model am I using? Is this model hosted in Europe? Does it have zero data retention? Can I be certain that it's not being used to train the model? Like, these are questions that are really important to have for whatever tools you're using. And if those questions are all yes, then does it have traceability? Does it show you the system instructions that are being used and the prompts and all the attached files and how it's being configured and the prompts? And if the prompts is shown, like what kind of data is going in? Are you putting in PII data into the prompt, or are you just putting in other types of information? Because you can control that in your systems. So I think whatever you go for, like, traceability is sort of key. Now, if you're not,
I'm going to stop you for a second. If anyone has to leave at 9, sorry, the clock is running so fast. I just want to mention that there's going to be a live workshop on the 9th of April. So here is a link if you're interested and have to leave. So now we can continue, and this link will be here now for the rest of the webinar. Yes. Sorry, Christian.
No worries. And so what my core point is sort of like, now we're looking at AI within a process. Like, people are added to this process. Like, I filled out a form and I got added to this process. An AI agent is part of that. And that AI agent might be looking at PII data. In this case, it's not. It's just, this is the instructions. You're reviewing a receipt. This is the receipt. This is like the amount. Nothing about the person. I could add information about the person if I wanted to. Like, here is the person, and now I'm adding PII data. And maybe that's okay for me as an org. That's org policies around what are we allowed to use in AI, what are we not allowed, what information are we putting in there, and why, and how is it being used once it goes in there. And even if that's all okay, you still got to be mindful of making sure that the models you're using, are they hosted in Europe? Do they have zero data retention? And it's not being used to train the models. So those are some of the core questions for whatever you go for. The other thing to also understand is the AI is being used in so many places. One is being part of the process, but others are in places like here generate the instructions with AI. That's like being used to build the process. And that's a little bit of a different angle, because there you might not be using any sensitive data. You're just using it to build stuff. So it's just a matter of building the process, adding people through the process, and then also learning about it, like asking questions like, what does this process do? Can you, write a description of it for me? And maybe you want to put this in maybe you want to do this for all of your processes to understand like everything you have and understand what you don't have, and then get suggestions on what to build next and have the agents do that for you.
I love this development, because when we met the first time, the AI part wasn't as developed as it is now. A question to connect to other solutions. I mean, where is the data? Is it where is it in the solution, or is it always managed outside? How does that work?
So in our tool here, everything you see in this data is hosted in Europe. So everything in our system is hosted in Europe, but it also has the capabilities of integrating with any tool you want. And so basically, when you're building a solution here, you can just click the plus icon, and you can have custom integrations and add anything you want on your own. And if you add a custom integration, you can control, what am I allowing the custom integration to do? So an ERP or HRIS system might have an API with like 100 options: create an employee, or update an employee, or archive an employee. And you can decide what are the options that I'm going to allow there. And if you've added that integration, you can do stuff like, create a task. You just click a button in Asana. And when you do that, then when it comes to this action here in Asana, it's going to create the task, and you can start to field map, like, what's the name of the task? And it could be like new health benefits. So you have the name of the person, health benefits. That's now going to be the name of the task. And you can do other options from within them. The other thing, like with the hosting as well, like you can also decide, once the process is over, you can take the data from that process and maybe store it in a different system, and even have a step to delete it from this one, if that's something that's important to you for whatever reason. The third maybe part, which is often maybe the only AI angle we haven't mentioned yet, is that, so okay, you built the process, you've decided that one way to start the process is by going to a portal and fill something out, like we did with health benefits or parental leave or something. But can you somehow like integrate this with my Claude or Copilot or Gemini or whatever, ChatGPT? And so what you can also do is you can add this to an MCP server to Claude, for example. And when you do that, you can basically say, okay, I'll show you how the connection works, but like somebody might ask, like, I'm going on parental leave, what should I do? And it can have instructions on, hey, if somebody is asking about parental leave, let them know if they like officially want to trigger that off, to basically just fill out the form here. So all the questions you're seeing here in parental leave, name, email, like all the questions you see here, the AI will detect them. And you never need to leave the chat. You can just type it in here, and that will initiate the process, just like if I would fill out this form. And I think this is often like where people, like, a lot of folks are like, can I just have like an AI help bubble and that knows everything and does everything automatically? And like the reality is you can, as long as you build every single process up from the ground. And once you've done it, you can literally just go into like settings, MCP, create a server. You can just call it Anna test or something. And then you add the workflows to that server that you want. Parental leave is one of them. And then you know that this workflow, you can write, how should this get started? Like if asked about parental leave or something. And you can now add this here, this parental leave, this parental leave code. You can add that to your Claude.
You're fast.
You can basically, this is where's the Anna one here? Anna test one here?
Yeah.
Copy it, or there's instructions about how you can do that. And if I add this to my Claude or my Copilot or whatever it is that I use, then from now on, like when people ask about it, it will automatically know where it is and be able to trigger it.
That's amazing. I have a question that came quite some time ago, but I want to ask you. So there is a question that I experienced the balance between that we should develop our own solutions and that we have huge SaaS solutions implemented and integrated who are not keeping up with the pace at which AI is evolving. What's your take on the fact that system providers are lagging behind? I have my take, but I will let
Yeah,
you go.
I have a strong take on it. So there's different. There's also just like practical and non-practical. So the reality is, most of the system providers that are not going to keep up, they are going to get replaced over time with the ones that are. It might not happen tomorrow. Like if you have an ERP or an HRIS that you can't get rid of, it's not going to happen today or tomorrow. It's going to take you a long time. But let's say over the course of the 5 years or something, I'm pretty sure they get replaced if they don't keep up the pace. That being said, you don't have to wait for those 5 years to do anything. Like what I would probably do is, I mean, most of the modern solutions today, you can set them up and you can build processes or whatever you want them to do. And they connect with anything you use. And if there's a change in what you use at some point, you can just switch that out. So just like you're showing here, like if I'm building something, like you can have an integration here with like your old HR system, I don't know, ADP or something. And you can like decide that whenever you're onboarding someone, you create a user in ADP, and ADP requires like the email of the person and the gender and all sorts of stuff. But if ADP gets replaced with something new, you can just replace ADP with that new tool and everything still works. So I think it doesn't, like, I wouldn't be afraid of getting modern things up and running to do like to set up the things the way you want to use them, because you already have something that's sort of clunky and old and you know it's going to take a couple of years. I think you need to do them in async. That's my take on it.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, when you look at the future as we see it right now, I mean, it's moving so fast, so we have a hard time to keep up. But you probably have more insight than even I have, because you're working in AI, in an AI company. But that way of integrating into a place where you already are using like Copilot, that's the way forward as I see it. So you should use the tool that people are using is used for getting into whatever tool that is then delivering the answers or the process. So, I mean, we always have to have like solutions that glue together these different legacy solutions that we have.
Yeah, and I also think, like, I mean, the reality is I think everyone is sick and tired of having like 40 tabs in their Chrome browser for all the different tools they have, right? So what is going to happen, and what has started to happen, is that you have a tool like Claude or ChatGPT or Copilot, and within this tool you integrate it with pretty much everything you have. And you just say, hey, draft me an email, or take a look at my calendar and tell me what's up this week, or start this task, or what's happening in my processes, or hey, can you actually build a process based on this? And it will do it in the right tool that's designed to do exactly that. And so like it is going to be a mixture of things you need to set up on your end. I do believe you need to have, for example, a chat interface tool. So you need to have something like a Copilot or a Claude or something. And I'm pretty sure all employees will have access to that. And then you just click the plus icon and add all the connectors to all the things you're using. Like in this demo, for example, I'm using one MCP server for our product, or actually I'm using two of them, but I could easily add like a CRM or my Gmail or Google Calendar or 30 other tools. And you kind of unifiedly use them here. And then if you need to log into stuff, you could do it. But like a lot of times you'll just say, Anna just joined our company. Can you onboard her?
Yeah.
Right? That's how you're going to do it. Yeah. And so, and then it will just know where to go, and it's going to explain to you, like, hey, like the person is asking about parental leave. There's a connection to this tool that does that automatically, and it just figures out what to do next.
Mm-hmm. So we just have a very few minutes left. Time flies. What kind of clients, are using this now? I know you have a lot of clients, as well as Swedish ones. What do you want to mention? Is it anything specific about them, or size, or complexity, or?
We have customers of all sizes using this, and in most industries as well. Most of our clients are in the Nordics, basically. We have a big chunk, and we're from Iceland, so if you know any brand from Iceland, they're probably a customer as a context. But we've also been expanding, and I think we have customers now in 5 or 6 different countries. We're doing a lot of stuff in Sweden. We've added our first people there, and we're doing events there on a very regular basis. I would say if you're a company maybe sized somewhere between let's say 100 to 3,000 people, this is something that's very easy to set up and just play with and use and connect with your tools. And you might not need to go for like an RFP or something. And you can try it for free. Like you can just go to our website and try it out. And if you don't like it, you just throw it away. But I would say, whether it's us or any other tool, like in this day of AI, like I would play with something and get convinced that it could be used. Pick one use case, one problem. Like don't go for the whole thing at once and try to checkbox everything. Just go one thing that's a problem today and think about, how am I doing it today? How do I think I want to do it in the future? Ask an AI about best practices and everything. And then work on that one thing and solve it and see it work and see the benefits of it. And once you've done that, and it takes longer for the first like process you do, it takes longer than the fifth. But once you've done it, you can get on a treadmill of saying, whoa, this is like saving me a lot of effort. And it's so much smoother. And then you kind of get convinced and you start doing more and more and more. And before you know it, you're maybe spending half a day a week or more building new processes, new ways. And in a course of a year, like you might have 10, 20, 50 processes that are automating like 100,000 things. But I honestly don't know of a method where you can do this without doing it bottoms up. And it's tremendously helpful if you already have, like, if you're really advanced with AI or someone in your company, if you already have like Claude Code and a second brain with all of your company knowledge, like we have that internally. But if you already have something like that, you can use that to build the processes. Like you can use that to say, build me a prompt for this AI tool. And that AI tool will then build the process. That's so much more powerful than if you just put.
Yeah, sorry. If you're bigger than 3,000, you could start with like a part, maybe a country. If you're Swedish part of a global company, you could do it for just.
Yeah, you can branch it out for just your. And I mean, we have customers with like 30,000 employees. Like we have large customers. We have municipalities with 15,000 employees. We have like Central Bank of Iceland as a customer, Icelandair, the airline. Like we have a bunch of like larger orgs using this. But I'm just sort of saying, like, most of I'd say maybe 70% of the customers that we have are in that size range of maybe 100 to 3,000. Yeah. So.
And now I believe, I mean, it's 9:14. We are almost up, and there came a question just here in the end. Is this more private company, or can government use it too?
Yeah, governments can use this as well. It's being used by public entities. We're also part of like the.
And you UK. Are EU. You're part of EU. So just to mention, you don't know about Iceland enough.
We're a European company. It's all hosted in Europe. It's so yeah, gone through a rigorous processes of checking security and stuff. And we have more info on that on our website. And you can always ask our team as well if you need more.
So now it's 9:15. Just want to mention, click the button if you want to attend the AI workshop on 9th of April, or just check it out. And here's one more question on security, but I think time is up for now. So you have to reach out to Flora separately on that topic. So thank you everyone who joined. This was amazing. And thank you for all the input you provided so we could give value back to you.
Thanks everyone.